Hola amigos y bienvenidos a Cafecito with Rosie on Air, where I share with you my pure, positive, and inspiring ideas. My name is Rosie Paulson, and I'm the owner of Rosie Paulson Enterprises. My brand promise: knowledge, connection, success. My heart with my business is to be able to provide passionately tips so people and business owners can succeed in this thriving economy. Today, I have one of my really good friends, Ludmila, with me, and we are going to share a story. And let me tell you a little bit about her. Her and I met maybe about a year or two ago at a building that I used to service. We both used to live there together. But she was starting with her coaching business, and I was blessed to start when she began. And I have seen her grow through social media. And even though we both have moved out to different locations, she has been thriving and she has increased her business, her presence, and she is now helping many, many women with what she's going to be sharing with us today. Good afternoon, Lumiwa. How are you?
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much for having me here. And I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. I just got to tell you that I am so excited that I was able to invite you and to be able to have you in my show tonight because we have come a long way. We started working together perhaps on January, and I always tell people that the best, my saving grace during the pandemic was to be able to work with you because we pinpoint things that I really wasn't aware, but you were able to coach me through it. So tell me a little bit about who Ludmila is, where you're coming from because of your accent, and what brought you here, and what kind of like, tell me about your family.
Hi. Yes. So I'm honored that I could be your coach and support you through this very challenging for many period in our history. And you have made an enormous progress. So I want to thank you for choosing me as your coach, and I want to congratulate you on your progress. It's a commitment to becoming the better version of yourself during pandemic. So I come from Poland. I'm half Russian, and I grew up in Poland, through my childhood. My dad died when I was 3, so I was raised by a single mom. And then at the age of 19, I decided I will move to another country, still in Europe, but I moved to Belgium as au pair with an idea of staying there for 1 year, learning a little bit about the language that they speak, their Dutch. And the idea was to go abroad, learn the language, come back home, and pursue a degree in languages. But as we know with life, we can plan. we can plan, and we can have a vision for our life. And sometimes life offers us ideas and cues that take us somewhere else. So instead of going back home at the age of 20, I stayed in Belgium, and I went to college there. So I pursued a degree in translation, and I graduated with masters in translation in 3 languages. I also pursued some education in intercultural communication because that seemed very practical, and I always want to understand people's behavior, the psychology of human behavior, and also how people from different cultures and historical background communicate and can connect better with each other and understand each other. So I graduated in Belgium, and then I found a job and I started my working career. Few years in, I met my American husband, who was sent to Belgium with his American company, and the rest is the history. We got married there in Antwerp, and our first son was born there. And when he was 3 years old, we moved to California. We spent 4 years in California. It was for my husband's job, where we had our second son. And being without family, both my family was in Europe, his family was in Michigan and Wisconsin. I felt pretty lonely at some point with 2 children. I felt lonely. I felt like I'm losing myself. And I think it was the low point of my motherhood, I would say. And and we all maybe can recognize ourselves in one of the stories that we can tell about motherhood, that it's amazing and it's the best job you will ever have, but it is also so demanding, and we need a community and we need support. And at the time point, it was only me and my husband. So I started slipping down the road of being very reactive, emotional eating, feeling pretty much just disconnected from myself. And of course, as we know, we all need somebody at some
Yeah.
point when we need support. So when I was that person for you, my mom came to visit, and she shook me up a little bit. She said, my daughter, this is not who you are. You really need to start taking care of yourself. And so I started to pick myself up and rewriting the story of myself again and going back to who I am now as a mother, through movement. First, through movement, I started mentoring with Dina Juve, who is a fitness star, and she also works with Women's Health magazine. I became a certified kettlebell trainer, and I trained at her studio in Fresno, California for a year. And then we moved to Tampa, Florida, where I am right now. And I always pursue more learning and more education with an idea and a thought of how can I help more women.
Mhm.
And the physical fitness was amazing, and it helped me with the energy level, but it didn't solve for all the other challenges that I was facing in life. How to, be a professional person, how to have a great marriage and still be a wonderful mom. I seemed very overwhelmed. And then
Yeah.
coaching came into my lap, and it was a solution for the mental emotional challenges that I was facing. And I dived in. I became a certified life and weight coach with the Life Coach School, and I started my online business coaching career women who, are who love their careers, who want to be successful, but they also want to balance the other three most important things in their life, who is themselves, their marriage, and their motherhood. So that's what we are doing right now.
Yes, and awesome. And that's kind of one of the reasons why um, I decided to uh, do the coaching with you, because when pandemic happened, it was either at the very beginning was okay. There's two ways I'm gonna come out of this pandemic. I'm either gonna
Mm-hmm.
come out really, really fat, or I'm going to be able to manage this weight issue. And it started with that, but then being such a driven individual, you were able to help me through that part of feeling actually at one point like in a cage, right? Because I'm a social
Mm-hmm.
butterfly and I
Mm-hmm.
always want to be out and looking and talking to people. And now I'm having 4 months that I had to be in my house looking at my husband, and spending time with him, and only him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my husband to death, but after about 2 or 3 weeks, I was ready to like, hey, what's new out there? So technically, you help women that they have very high demanding jobs or um, things that they,
Mm-hmm.
careers
Mm-hmm.
and high achievers, and
Mm-hmm.
then you help them balance everything like motherhood. For me, motherhood is since I'm a mother of adult children, is not the day to day with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that my marriage was also saved because I was taking my husband for granted, and you were able to kind of help me to refocus myself, that without my husband I also will not be where I am today. um, and that is one of the things that also helped through this whole pandemic. um, and I know you sometimes work with couples too. So tell
Mm-hmm.
me a little bit of that story, because that's a good one too for people to know.
Well, I think what happens when the pandemic, in a real life, we are so busy. We are so busy with work and activities for children and everybody. Some of us have hobbies, so we we keep ourselves busy. We
Hmm.
have activities to keep us busy. And when the pandemic hit, we were really forced to slow down. And for many people, it was very, very challenging. For myself and my family, we didn't find it as difficult because we were already living slower paced life, I would say, more aware. So, but I know for majority of people, life stopped. It seemed like it stopped. And then you can love your family as much as you want, but we were not made to spend so much time with them cooped up in a house. It will just, we are human, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and it's only natural to start feeling annoyed with the people you are around. So you are not the only one that had to deal with it. It's very natural. So when I started coaching women through this pandemic, I had some of my clients come to me and ask me if I would also help their husbands, because what they were experiencing was exactly what you described in your own experience. I mean, in your own life and marriage, meaning I love my husband and I love my children, and now we are home and it starts becoming too much for both of us. We feel emotionally exhausted and people become very impatient. It's just the human brain works this way. When we feel fear, when we feel overwhelmed, we start noticing things that we don't like about the other person, because we had no space, no mental, emotional, physical space where we can go and engage in anything else that's what's in front of us. So very normal reaction. So I had 2 clients come to me and ask if I could do also do couple coaching. So it was my first time I did it during pandemic, and it was wonderful because what it allowed for them to see is that they were both committed to their marriage. They both want to make it successful, and they want to do it for themselves, also for their children. But just with the level of stress that the country and the world was going through, they were losing the sight of their love, their life, their love, their commitment, their why. And it was very helpful to have somebody else that was not emotionally connected to them to be an observer and just showing them what's happening, and that's just their brain trying to protect them because brain thinks we are now in danger. Yeah.
And one of the things that I always share with people is when I bring my friends over, I don't want the perfect people, right? See, people see your life and they say, "Oh my gosh, she has it all together." And the reality is, we don't have it all together. We have worked through things, and we work, we learn from them. And one of the things that I asked my guest in the show is, what was your biggest challenge in business or in life? How did you were able to overcome it, or are you still working through it?
Yes, there is nothing like perfection. It's just progress. That's what I also say. And we see all of it on social media. Everything looks perfect, but we all know that it's just the first thing we can notice about people, right? And we don't want to put our mess out there. And we need to be in a small, intimate space to be able to share what the struggle is. So we've been doing really well through pandemic through the first 4 months, I would say. And then the biggest challenge hit when my older son, who is in a full-time gifted program, I think it really hit him that he's not seeing friends. I think it became too hard for him emotionally and socially, being all the time in the house. And even though we would bike together and do stuff outdoors together as a family, as we say, we are social beings. We are social beings. We need to be around people. And 4 months in, he started really struggling emotionally, and saying, I hate this pandemic, this is horrible. And we knew the e-learning is going to start. So we really had to learn how to sit with the discomfort of him crying, of him struggling. And the only thing we could do is to say that we love him. And yes, it is very hard, and that a lot of people are struggling, and not everybody is made for e-learning, and that's very normal. And at the same time, it was very hard to witness that. It was very hard to witness. We as mothers don't want our children to suffer. Of course, it's a part of life. But when you don't have